Hey everyone, it's Joel Ellison with Pinnacle Gunsmithing, and today we're looking at a lever-action rifle. Not just any lever-action rifle, but possibly the lever-action rifle of the future. This happens to be a Marlin 1895 GS, which we've done a little bit of custom work on, but more generally I wanted to steer the conversation towards lever-action rifles. Are they the rifle of the hunting future, or just a relic of the past? Stick around and find out. But before we get too much further into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to all of our subscribers and all of our customers. Thank you for all you do for us. It really means a lot. If you're not subscribed, hey, there's a button down there. Click it right down there, and you'll continue to help our channel grow. It really does help out. In any case, let's go ahead and take a deep dive into the 1895 Marlin, shall we? Alright, as a design, the 1895 is pretty much a take on the Marlin 336, which itself was, in my opinion, a huge improvement on the 1894 Winchester. Continued modernization efforts of lever-action rifles may partially be due to hunting regulations, weird firearms laws in certain parts of the country, and other things, but for one, I just think they look really cool. Two, this ain't your grandpa's lever action. This particular one's in 4570, I should mention before I forget. But we've done a bit of custom work on it. We didn't do this stock though. This is from Ranger Point Precision. It's really very nice. Gets your face right up there for looking through the scope. But if you're in a hurry, you can still use the iron sights with a good peek-through mount, such as this. Don't worry, I'll be wearing this before it goes out the door, but just wanted to show you all that. We can take it off just for maintenance, cleaning, and disassembly, just to make sure everything gets going right. We've done a bit of work on this particular one. We have threaded the muzzle for all proper muzzle devices. This is not the muzzle device it's going to wear in service, but you get the idea. We've also moved back the front sight so that it doesn't interfere with any muzzle devices. And we've also fit a different big loop lever on here for so that it fits this particular rifle. Mainly did that by heating this section with oxyacetylene and bending downwards until we could actually close the lever fully. Originally it had a small loop lever like this, which personally I prefer, but this customer prefers the big one, so who am I to disagree? Alright, in any case, our stock also has some nice loops for additional ammo on the side there. We have a quick detach sling loop, regular sling swivel. The bolts on here allow the butt pad to be adjusted for cant and tilt and whatnot. And yeah, it's a big honking aluminum grip there, and it's a stainless steel action. We also refinished the bottom metal. It was blued, but just to match the rest of the rifle. In any case, let's go ahead and get started on disassembly. Well, actually, a little more on manual of arms. This particular one does have a push bolt safety. That's fire. That's safe. And on safe, it just prevents the hammer from hitting the firing pin. But realistically, all lever action rifles just need a half-cock safety, and boom, that's it. But in any case, let's go ahead and get started on disassembly. First step with any gun, of course, is to make sure it's unloaded, which it is. And we have nothing in the magazine. You kind of have to close the bolt to open the magazine, but we see a nice big orange follower there. Get the loop about halfway back, and use a nicely fitted screwdriver to undo this particular screw. And here we go. For field stripping, taking out the lever, which just slides right out, and we can pull out the bolt. And from the sidewall of the receiver, our extractor should just fall down and come right out. There we go. It took a little jiggling to get gravity going the correct way. But yeah, that's pretty much it. From here you can punch the bore, clean everything, and get everything back together. However, this being the Pinnacle Mountain Gunsmithing channel, we will show you how to go a little further. Alright, next piece. We can let the hammer down a little bit, and we can take the buttstock off. It's a little weird that you do need to take the buttstock off for Marlin disassembly, just to get to everything in the action. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm just going to undo this screw at the top here, but you also need to loosen these two screws here at the side, and that requires a slightly different screwdriver bit, and just a little loosen. These are two halves of the aluminum grip module here, and just a little loosen there, and our buttstock slides right off. Yep, that's all there is. And here we go. Alright, let me also get the fore end off of there, which is really pretty simple. Actually a lot simpler than the original fore end. We just have two screws right up here. This is a Magpul fore end, but it allows us to use M-lock accessories. These two screws just operate a little clamp, and we just need to loosen them a bit, and we can pitch this right off the front, and a little wiggle here at the back. Boom. And we have our Magpul fore end off. This is actually 2 layers of plastic, and it feels really solid, honestly. When I first saw these online, I didn't think they would be, but, you know, it works. And then we take a look at their mag tube, and oh my goodness, what happened here? Turns out that's intentional. It's supposed to be like that. That way you can get a very large 4570 projectile into the magazine without it interfering and jamming up on you. In any case, let's go ahead and get deeper into it. But when our lever's in there, all it's doing is acting on the bolt like that, and there's a cutout in the receiver to allow for the pivot to come back up in there. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's right up in there. Alright, let's go ahead and get our hammer out from the back. We have just this plate here that's holding tension on the hammer spring, but we just kind of pry it to the side, and just with hand pressure, and wiggle that out without launching our little plate across the room, and we can take our hammer spring out, and we can switch back to our large flathead and take out the hammer itself. And that's just this particular screw. Yeah, the thing I like about Marlin lever action rifles is that they are very simple. Nice and easy to take apart. It's not a multi-day process to take apart like a Winchester 94, which, you know, is a decent design for it at the time, but, you know, we have modern materials and we can do better now. So let's do better, how about? Of course, there's nothing to scoff at with the nostalgia factor, but you know how that goes. In any case, we're ready to get our bottom metal off. We had to get the hammer out in order to get the bottom metal off, because the bolt for the hammer also goes through the bottom metal. And in order to get that off, we have 2 screws, one here at the front. This is what they call the longer screw. And yes, it's very short, but it's longer than the one here on this side, the only screw head on this side. And we can unscrew that, because if you put the longer one on the side, then it will interfere with the lifter. But yeah, that's the only difference between the two. Alright, and then we can pry off the bottom metal. That just comes right out and contains our trigger. Some guns like the Marlin 336 will also have a out of battery safety. This particular one does not, for whatever reason. I have a sinking suspicion that this particular bottom metal came off of a much older gun and was just kind of there. But yeah, and the next part that comes out is our locking block. This is what slides up into this recess in the bolt and connects the firing pin from the back to the front. Yes, it's a 2-piece firing pin, and also locks the bolt to the receiver to take the punishing recoil of 4570 or whatever cartridge you are shooting. It's pretty stiff, if I may say so myself. And don't worry, this only is asymmetrical and only goes in one way around the cartridge lifter. If you see that right there. Speaking of the cartridge lifter, that's it. And we have a slightly smaller screw that's flathead on this side. And we can undo that. This is really not that complicated compared to an 1890 Winchester 94. So don't worry. The screws only go in one particular way, and if you're having to force it, you're doing it wrong. Just back up, try again. But yeah, that's our cartridge lifter, and that just kicks cartridges up from the tube magazine to come out onto here, and just boop. And that's all controlled with the side, this camming area of the carrier, or the lifter, and the finger lever. Sorry, words are hard today. Only other part left in the receiver is this is the loading gate. It's pretty much a King's patent loading gate, and that's just with this little screw. Let's see if I have the correct screwdriver head. Yeah, this one will work. But yeah, it's just a simple piece of sheet metal. And this screw just threads right into it. I'll show you that when we get her out. And boop, she just fell right off. And yeah, it's just a folded piece of sheet metal. And it's threaded right into there. Just be very careful not to cross-thread this particular screw, because it could be a booger to fix. It's really tiny and also easily lost. And your gun won't work without it, so maybe if you don't have a reason to take it out, maybe don't. Let's see, we also can show you now the little cutout on the inside of the receiver. Let's see if I can get the light right. There we go. That's closer. But yeah, this cutout right in here is what allows the tip of the finger lever to go back and forth with the bolt, and allows clearance for that. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire action. We just have a receiver and a Picatinny rail up top. We have our sights that are just dovetailed to the thing back for the rear sight, and a couple of screws at the front. Our magazine tube is the only other part that's still left on here. And we just have a little bit of screw here. And this comes right out. This is actually a much nicer assembly than I've seen on older 336s, which is a little finicky and can be a bit of a bear to put back in. This is just one screw and this little post that it goes into, and I'm just going to ease that off so the spring doesn't come and catapult all the parts across the room. But yeah, I've kept my finger on the spring, on the plug there, and that comes right out. Only goes back in one way. And we have back here our follower and magazine spring. Yeah, it's a lot of spring. But yeah, we also have our original front, our handguard hanger piece that just dovetails into the barrel. This is a rather chunky barrel, by the way. And we also have a big cutout down here on that goes most of the length of the barrel, just to accommodate that big old magazine. Because, yeah, rims on 4570 cartridges are, they're big. All right, let me put her back together and we'll share a few final thoughts. All right, folks, there you have it. It's a quintessential piece of American firearms heritage brought into the modern era, all back together and ready to go out for the hunt. In any case, thank you for sticking with us this long. If you found value in our episode, best way to support us is to go to our website at pinnaclemountaingunsmithing.com. where you can book your appointment for gunsmithing services with us directly. In any case, I'm Joel Ellison, and this has been a pleasure as always. And I hope to see you on the next one. Feel free to check out some of our other videos, and we'll see you around. Bye.